Hi, I'm Emery Rockwell, and I'm here today to talk to you about Azure Sphere and the Microsoft IoT business. I'm here with my friend Tom. Tom, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, Anne-Marie. Thanks. Tom Patton here, also with the Azure IoT team.
So, Tom is coming to you from his living room, and I'm coming to you from my dining room, but we hope that won't put you off. And we have some interesting things to share with you. Microsoft is focused on the intelligent cloud and the intelligent edge. The intelligent cloud is ubiquitous computing for all your digital feedback. Public cloud and AI allow every type of intelligent application and system that you can imagine. When we think that we've seen every use case and device on the edge, we literally are seeing thousands and thousands of more. The great news about this intelligent edge and its continual expansion is that you can connect all of these devices and applications, gather the telemetry, and analyze it. You can view your data near the data source, near you, or you can do it with both. These real-time insights and experiences are being delivered through highly responsive and contextualized aware apps, which are allowing new business models and new businesses to achieve their growth. When we look at our engagement with our telco partners like you, we're very, very clear in our business model. We're here to partner with you. We are not here to compete with you. We do not have any aspirations of becoming an auto company or a delivery company. And that is really core to our business engagement with you. As we look at the depth opportunity for us with you as operators, we have two things that really kind of ground us. One, we're building solutions with your telco DNA as a foundation. And then secondly, this is all backed by Microsoft's developer ecosystem. Through these business models, we think that we can achieve scale. We can operate hybrid seamlessly. We're going to enable new business models, and we're going to allow you to monetize your existing models in ways that you haven't before. And then finally, we are driving for a trusted partnership between you and us. We're going to talk about Azure Sphere now. We're very excited about this product. This is a product that came from the Microsoft Research Group, and we have now brought it to market. Azure Sphere is MCU secured with Microsoft, so we have built security from the silicon up. Let's talk about security when it comes to consumers. Based on the research that we've done, 2/3 of consumers are willing to pay more for products that they know are secure. That's an astounding number. That also lets you think that consumers expect the products they're buying to be secure. 65% of consumers say that they will buy a product only from a brand who has security. If your brand has had a breach, 65% of consumers are saying they're not going to buy from that brand. And then finally, most consumers expect manufacturers to do more to ensure the security of their devices. That's a good segue into the enterprise space. When we look at our enterprise customers, they also expect security in their devices. 97% of enterprises call out security as a concern when they're working with IoT. Through this presentation, we're going to share with you how we can mitigate that. 22% are willing to spend more on their IoT cybersecurity, and 70% of enterprises say they will buy more devices for IoT if they know that they are secure. COVID has actually increased some of this behavior as companies have to do more and more remotely. Remote employees, remote monitoring of their equipment, and we see that as an additional opportunity for us right now. It is changing the way that enterprises do business. What happens if your business is attacked? Or what happens if your devices at home are attacked? It's real. It's a daunting situation. If you're at work, your data is lost. That can cost hundreds of thousands per incident for a company. Nobody wants to have their personal information hacked and used by a foreign or a malicious entity. Data can be polluted and compromised. And then finally, device can be attacked and either enterprise or personal information can be shared. All of this costs money. It costs your reputation. The brand degradation to a company who has had a device attack or has had a data challenge impacts your bottom line. We feel that with the introduction of Azure Sphere, we actually have changed the way that you secure devices. Azure Sphere is built on 7 properties. We have done years of research, and this is the solution that we have to secure your devices from the silicon up. I'm going to just run through these quickly. We have a hardware root of trust. That means that there is an identity between the software and the hardware that drives the integrity of the solution. We have defense in depth. This means exactly what it says. There are multiple layers of defense in our security solution with Azure Sphere. We developed a small trusted computing base. We use everything we know from our many years in the security space at Microsoft. This new OS is built off of a Linux kernel, and it has taken in all of our learnings from Xbox and Windows. So this is a new unique OS specifically for Azure Sphere. Dynamic compartments, again, it is what it sounds like. The MCU is divided into dynamic compartments to drive additional security. We have certificate-based authentication. And then finally, we have error reporting, which is very important because it allows us to see what is actually happening to the devices. And then with Azure Security Service, we have an ongoing renewable security. So we will continue to secure the device. This is very important because when you buy a secure device today that does not have renewable security, it means that as technology and as threats continue to advance, your product or your once secure device is staying static. We are using Azure Security Service to ensure that we're continually updating those devices based on what we see in the market and what we see as a need. To net it out, we look at Azure Sphere as having 3 legs of a stool. You have the hardware, so the silicon. You have the software, so the customized Azure Sphere operating system. And then finally, you have the Azure Sphere Security Service, which continues to drive the security. The business model for Azure Sphere is the chip, the OS, and the S, and we will stand behind the security of that device for 10 years. When we think about Azure Sphere, the promise is very simple. We are working to protect your data both physically and in the infrastructure of Azure Sphere. This is really a game changer in the IoT space. Through Azure Sphere, you can connect your devices and equipment. And in the enterprise side, in manufacturing with Azure Sphere, and you know that Microsoft is backing your security for the 10-year period. I want to go a little bit deeper into our silicon ecosystem. We're very excited about the partners that we're working with today, but I can tell you we have a lot more partners that will be coming online with us in the very near future. Looking at our partner stack today, we have MediaTek. They have the MT3620. We're excited about this product. We had general availability in February 2020, and this is actively being sold in the market. We've also partnered with NXP. We are really thrilled with this engagement. And NXP will be bringing Azure Sphere to market as part of their IMX8 family. What we get with the NXP chipset are more experiences. We're going to add, or we have added AI, more graphics, and also we're very excited because it adds video. With this combination, we open up a whole new section of the market for ourselves. This will give us the opportunity to really engage with security and surveillance companies, and also think about that from a smart buildings, smart spaces, smart cities. So with NXP, we're really opening up the TAM for our Azure Sphere product. And then finally, and this is really the area that I think you, the operators, are going to have the most success. Not saying that you're not going to have a lot of success before here, but with Qualcomm, we're bringing to market cellular on chip. This is super important, and I'll go into the difference in the business models in just a second. I want to draw your attention to the bottom of the slide. We have partners today who are both building Azure Sphere Guardian devices and Azure Sphere security solutions. We have a very long list, but this is the short view. We have Avnet, Seed, AI Link, and USI. And I also have a list of all of the partners that you can work with immediately towards the end of the deck. Okay, I talked about the 2 business models. When we look at Azure Sphere and we look at enterprises and their digital transformation, we see a huge opportunity to connect already existing devices and equipment to the cloud. So I talked about this at the beginning, the ubiquitous cloud. This allows us to connect what's on the edge to the cloud. With the brownfield solution, we are using Azure Sphere Guardian devices to connect already deployed equipment. The reason why this is happening is because enterprises don't want to make the capital investment to buy new equipment and devices that have connectivity, secure connectivity already inside. If they were to do that, it would take literally decades and unknown cost to replace it. So with Azure Sphere, we are connecting what is already there. Think about it in terms of coffee machines, in terms of kitchen, in terms of manufacturing equipment. By using Azure Sphere to connect this equipment to the cloud, I can now perform predictive maintenance, get huge arrays of business insights, and start to drive the digital transformation of my business. On the greenfield side of the business, this is where we have Azure Sphere chip inside of the device. Think about this as smart appliances, your smart fridge, your smart cooker. I love it when they say the laundry experience. I don't have a laundry experience, but I would like to have a smart washing machine. The number one reason consumers do not connect connectable devices is because of provisioning. They can't remember their Wi-Fi password. They're not sure if they should connect it to their Wi-Fi password. But with Azure Sphere Cellular solution, we will be able to bypass this provisioning issue with zero-touch provisioning. We see this as a huge solution solver for the appliance manufacturers in the world, and also for you, the operators, opening up a brand new business. There are literally billions of units in the world that need to be connected. So how does it work? It's actually very, very simple. What you have is Azure connects to your devices and it connects to the cloud. You do not have to be an Azure customer. You don't have to even use Azure. What we see today is that there are very few enterprises that have a single cloud vendor strategy. So the great thing about using Azure Sphere is it can connect very easily and efficiently to Azure. But if you have a multi-cloud strategy, you can also connect it to any of the other cloud vendors that you have. While the devices are connected, we will continue to update them and track them with the Azure Sphere security service. So you know that the device that you have connected over your network will continue to get the security upgrades from Microsoft. So I think I have exhausted you with all of this talk about Azure Sphere, and we really want to get into what's in it for you and how you can monetize and drive these new business models with Azure Sphere. With that, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Tom. Tom, do you want to take it from here?
Absolutely. Thanks, AMR. That was really informative. So AMR shared with us how Azure Sphere and the Azure Cloud together really help enable that digital transformation for our joint customers. And I'd like to kind of dig in a little bit and talk about how cellular relates to this and how we think about growing cellular opportunities together. So we've been working with operators around the world and looking at the marketplace and, super excited about what the future brings with 5G coming online and low power networks emerging globally. This is really opening up some new scenarios for IoT to impact our joint customers. Now, although these trends are growing, the overall pie is getting bigger. The component of that pie that is represented by connectivity spend is getting smaller over time. You can see that with this information from the GSMA. And so one way that we believe we can mutually capitalize on that growth and on those new scenarios that are being unlocked with 5G, with low power networks, is to consider together offering joint application platforms, managed services, or even complete vertical applications. And one way that you can accomplish that is by working with Microsoft and our ecosystem of partners to get there. So let's talk about some of the use cases for the Guardian module when we're looking at these more complete solutions that we can go to market together with. The Guardian module is combining together the Sphere plus Cellular capabilities into one unit, and that's going to be attached to different assets that are out there in the environment. So you want to think about places where those assets are substantially valuable, hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of dollars in terms of those assets for these sort of brownfield scenarios. And assets that are being deployed into an unknown network environment. So for instance, if you're deploying an asset into a store, into a hospital, into an environment where you need to be able to monitor that, but you don't have direct access to the connectivity environment, the network that's there. Those are the kinds of scenarios that we want to look at. And then things that just move around in the environment. Obviously, cellular is going to be your best bet for those kinds of scenarios. And so what we've seen is connecting up these sort of unconnected products out there and starting on a journey where we start with, basic condition monitoring, moving up to connecting that into customer sales systems where they can be upsell or service can be provided, and then taking advantage of things like predictive maintenance, where we can look at the usage patterns of these assets and make recommendations for maintenance activities. And then finally, we see a great opportunity together to move forward with transitioning the industry of high value assets into product as a service scenarios where we can offer a combined product and service in one OpEx expenditure model. So those are some of the big areas where we're seeing traction with Sphere and the Guardian module. And just to kind of recap on this brownfield opportunity that Anne-Marie touched on, this is taking the device that you've got existing in the environment today, whether that's a crane or a coffee machine. There's probably an existing connectivity port on that device, whether it's Modbus or a serial port. And, typically somebody's got to actually show up, a technician or something, and physically be with that device in order to get the telemetry off of it and take actions, resets, update firmware, etc. That's where this Guardian device comes in with the Sphere inside, which can then connect it seamlessly into the Azure IoT cloud environment. So if we look at one scenario there, we take that entire package, and on top of that rides the rest of Microsoft's Azure IoT portfolio. For instance, you can have our Azure IoT Central on top of that. We are working with partners, with telcos and other partners to be able to resell IoT Central through our reseller programs like CSP. That on top of that has additional capabilities like industry templates for various industries, so that the moment you fire up your IoT Central environment, you already have a jump start on what you need in order to make digital transformation a reality for those. And then other platforms and tools that we have at Microsoft where we can assemble a really complete offering, whether that's our Power Platform for low-code, no-code development, or Dynamics 365, Microsoft Teams, or other things that can make this solution complete and accessible to our customers. So let's talk about one example where we've had success with this kind of a model, and that's with Starbucks. So if you think about those cases where you've got valuable assets deployed in environments where maybe you don't have access to the network. So for Starbucks, for example, they've got their own stores where they obviously control the Wi-Fi and can hook their devices up and manage them in that manner. But they also are deploying machines into environments that they don't have direct control over, things like stores and malls and airports and things like this. And in those cases, the Azure Sphere and Guardian module allows them to really save a lot of money and deliver a better experience to those customers and through to their end customers, really delivering the perfect pour every time. So for example, it used to be that a technician has to show up to update the recipe for coffee as new drinks are rolled out. Now this delivery can happen over the air using the Azure Sphere and Guardian module and the Azure IoT platform to make those changes, whether that's updating firmware, updating recipes, or understanding the conditions and maintenance schedule for those machines. So back to you, Anne-Marie, maybe for some details on what comprise these Guardian devices.
Thanks, Tom. It's great to hear all of the use cases and opportunities for telcos. And as I mentioned earlier, we have a slew of partners that we're already working with. What you can see here is really just the top of the list when it comes to the Azure Sphere IoT cellular Guardian devices. These are from companies that we work with, that we have worked with on the design and on the technology. And these are just the first round of partners that we would promote and offer to you as partners as you come to market with us with Azure Sphere. So how are we going to do this? What we would like to do is partner with you. We want you to build with us. We want you to build your Azure Sphere business with us and your Azure IoT business with us. We want to partner with you to take that business to scale, both through our joint enterprise customers and through our enterprise customers. And then finally, we want to sell with you. We want to work with you so we can activate the Microsoft sellers to sell your solution, and then also activate your sellers and channel to sell your solution. So that's where our presentation ends. I want to thank you for your time and for listening. And Tom, do you want to say a few closing words?
Absolutely. Looking forward to partnering with all of you to see how we can together bring more digital transformation scenarios using cellular technology in our IoT platform. Thanks for your attention today.
Thanks all.